What's going on, guys? JSGC here, and we are here for another Manchester City transfer update. Before I crack on with today's video, make sure, like always, if you are enjoying the content, then do subscribe to my channel, press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. I am aiming now for 21k subscribers, less than 700 subs away, so any help towards that would be much appreciated. Social media links there in the description below, sliding across at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. Email also in the description below too. If you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos, or any general business inquiries, leave a thumbs up if you do enjoy this video, aiming for 300 likes, and also don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below of what you make of these transfers, including when I get around to speaking about Harry Kane and the interesting developments in terms of that. But before I crack on with this transfer update, this video, it's brought to you by the best footballing app out there, OneFootball.
This video is brought to you by OneFootball. If you want to download the OneFootball app, all you need to do is press the link at the top of my description, which will take you forward to where you can download this app. The OneFootball app is extremely useful if you are a huge football fan just like me. It provides you with the latest footballing news, transfer news, and the latest videos as well. It is one source of information of where I get my transfer news from. It also allows you to see the latest scores with what's happening in the footballing world. If you just click on a game, including any Manchester City game, it will not only bring up the latest team news, but it will also bring up the latest statistics and keep you up to date with everything happening in that game. If you want to download this app, all you need to do is press the link at the top of the description to stay up to date.
Thank you very much to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. It is much appreciated. If you want to go and check out OneFootball, then all you need to do, press that link at the top of my description. That'll take you to the download page to download OneFootball. OneFootball will keep you up to date with all the latest football news, transfer news, as well as latest scores, statistics, lively tables, and all that good footballing needs that you all have. It's a free app to download, so do go and download it through the link at the top of my description. That does help to support the future content created here on my channel. But let's crack on with this transfer update. We're going to start off first with some contract news, and we've actually got two bits of contract news. The first is Phil Foden. Now, the Daily Star have been reporting that Phil Foden, Manchester City want him on a new deal. That isn't anything new to us, we already know that. However, they have given us a little bit more detail on what Manchester City are hoping to get. Apparently, City are looking for a new 6-year contract for Phil Foden, which would be a deal until 2027. Man City, of course, already looking to try and tie down players, particularly young players, down to long-term contracts, not only giving them a pay rise, which is what City are looking for, as a reward for the hard work during the last, 12 to 18 months in a Manchester City shirt, but also looking to increase in their value, because as the players' contracts wear down, the players become worth less and less. So if we get them tied down to new deals, if there is any interest in our players, then it puts us in the strongest position to be asking for a lot of money, which is Man City basically saying we don't want to sell our players, and the best way for us to make it clear that we don't want to sell our players is putting them onto new long-term deals, which is exactly what City have been doing, and Phil Foden is thought to become the next player that Manchester City want to be tying down to a new long-term contract. In terms of the wage, Manchester City are reportedly looking to try and put Phil Foden on £150,000 per week, which is a massive improvement on his current deal, which is apparently worth £40,000 per week. And whilst £40,000 per week is a whopping amount of money, that is a massive increase there for Phil Foden, jumping from 40 right up to £150,000 per week, and putting him right up there as a first-team player, with the wage recognising his value to Manchester City. And I would imagine over the next 2 or 3 seasons, if Phil continues to impress, he'll continue to work his way up that pay scale. Fully deserved as well, because he has been sensational for Manchester City, and I'm looking forward to having Phil Foden back for City after the international break. Now, moving on to the other story in the contract, and this is pretty interesting as well, comes in the form of Zack Steffen. Now, the Daily Star are also reporting that City are working on a deal to get Zack Steffen tied on a new contract, and his would be a new 4-year contract on a deal until 2025. If signed, it will show that he has got his long-term commitment to Manchester City. Now, I think this could go one of two ways as far as I'm concerned with this contract. Number one, if the day comes that Zack Steffen no longer wants to sit on Manchester City's bench and wants to play regular first-team football, then a 4-year contract puts Man City in a really strong position to be able to sell and get a really good amount for Zack Steffen, an amount that certainly would reflect his quality and how good of a goalkeeper he is. To me, Zack Steffen is too good to be sat on Manchester City's bench, and he's getting some great experiences learning from Ederson. Of course, he's going to be starting some cup games. If Ederson gets injured for any amount of time, Zack Steffen will come in, and he's more than capable of doing a job as well. He's a brilliant option to have sat on the bench. However, he's going into his prime, and I just feel like Zack Steffen at some point is going to decide that actually he wants to be playing week in, week out for a top club. And with Manchester City having Ederson, you have to think realistically, is that going to happen at Manchester City? And so with this new contract, it's showcasing that Zack Steffen is happy. He's happy to compete with Ederson to try and get that #1 jersey, which is always what you should be competing for. But it's also showcasing that should Zack Steffen say to Manchester City that maybe in a season or two's time that he wants to leave, then it puts Man City in a strong position to get the value that reflects how good Zack Steffen is to Manchester City, because the last thing you want to do is losing any quality player on a free contract, or a player that's got less than a year and on their contract, and you're forced to accept something less that doesn't reflect their value. And so I find that Zack Steffen transfer extremely interesting, particularly with the new contract. So we'll see what may happen. Like I said, it'll either be showcasing City's value and they decide to sell in a season or two's time, or it might be Zack Steffen saying actually long term he wants to stay at Manchester City, signing a 4-year contract because he's happy here and he's happy doing what he's doing, and he will get a pay rise as well. So we'll see what happens with regards to that. Now, moving on to the outs, we've got a quick Bernardo Silva update. The Daily Star have been speaking a lot this week. They're saying that Atletico Madrid did want Bernardo Silva this summer. However, that didn't happen. They offered a deal to Manchester City, which was Saul Niguez offered to Manchester City in return for Bernardo Silva. Manchester City put that proposal forward to Pep Guardiola, and Pep Guardiola said no. We all know what happened with Saul. He's headed off to Chelsea on loan from Atletico Madrid instead, so he now plays for Chelsea, and Manchester City have turned down that opportunity to sign him. I presume that Atletico Madrid were just looking for a like-for-like replacement, which is what Saul would have been with Bernardo Silva in a literally a swap deal involving no cash. But Manchester City, I believe, to have told Atletico no, they don't want to do that. City aren't exactly looking for creative midfielders. We're not exactly short in that department right now, and so they've told Atletico Madrid that they wanted cash instead, cash that Atletico Madrid didn't have, and it was cash that City were looking for to try and fund for more of their transfers, particularly with a move for a striker, which obviously never materialised and may have had an impact on Man City signing any striker this summer with Bernardo Silva here. But what I found very interesting about this article is it said that City's value for Bernardo Silva was £40 million. Now, I'm sure people out there would argue the case that it's valued so low because it's not an English team interested. Of course, there's a lot of money in the Premier League, and if there was a Premier League team interested in signing Bernardo Silva, I'm sure that value would be increasing, probably more than £60 million you'd be looking for. Comes with a Premier League premium when Premier League clubs are interested in other Premier League players. If they're English as well, they'd add an extra £10 to £20 million on top of that as well. It's not something I agree with, it's not something that is right, but that is the case, and certainly I could sit here and argue and say that because he's been valued at £40 million, that's because he'd be going to a league that doesn't have as much money, and quite frankly, they cannot afford any more. However, to me, if City are selling any player to any club, regardless of which league they're in, that value has to reflect how important that player is to the squad. And £40 million to Manchester City, quite frankly, it's a lot of money, but it isn't that much money to Manchester City. And so Bernardo Silva, to me, is worth so much more than £40 million. He's shown just before the international break just how much of a class player he is. Great performance against Norwich, great performance against Arsenal as well. He's a really, really good player. He's a first-team player. He's a player that's going into his prime. He's a player that's still got years left on his contract as well. I don't know how on earth he is valued, according to this article, at £40 million. It astounds me. I'd have thought we'd be looking for double that. I'd have thought £80 million would closer reflect how much he is worth and how much he's valued at Manchester City. So blew my mind that it was £40 million. But I'm not going to go into detail on Manchester City's tactic when it comes to selling players, because I think we're brilliant at selling players that have never featured for the first team squad. But when it actually comes to selling first team players, Anyway, moving on, let's speak about Harry Kane. Final story of this transfer update, and a very interesting one. AS in Spain, they've been reporting that Manchester City, despite loads of reports this summer saying that Manchester City will not go in for Harry Kane if we didn't sign him this summer. We haven't signed him this summer, and so you would think that Man City now and Harry Kane, it's done, it's dusted, it's not happening. But AS, they're saying No, that isn't the case. And in the upcoming windows, Manchester City will consider Harry Kane once more. Now, I presume that such a big transfer would happen in the summer, so that would now not happen until next summer when Harry Kane is 29. And to be fair, there was concern expressed about Harry Kane's age being 28 and having that sell-on value, and just how many years you've got of Harry Kane being at the top level, considering you're paying top dollar for him. So if we fast forward 12 months, we're putting another year onto his age. And to me, that value of Harry Kane comes down. It starts to come down more and more and more. Now, I imagine in the January transfer window, I'd be surprised if City made a move for anyone, because we don't normally. We could if a good deal came about, but I don't think we will make a move in the January transfer window. Means Harry Kane would hold his value for similar for what he was this summer in January. And so I don't think we'd go there. I mean, City could go to Spurs again in January and say, here's that £125 million that was offering you. You said we're £25 million short of your value before you'd start listening to us. Well, you know, a few months have come by. He's got, 6 months less on his contract from where he was when we first spoke to you. So here's our offer again, which would be the same amount. But if we're speaking about next summer, speaking about £150 million this summer, he had 3 seasons left on his contract. Next summer it'd be 2 seasons. To me, I wouldn't even pay £100 million next summer for Harry Kane, because realistically speaking, we're talking 4-5 good years out of him before he starts to move out of his prime, and that's still a lot of money for a player that's 29 years old. And whilst 29 in relative terms is a very young age, when you're talking about the fast-paced Premier League, how quick the Premier League goes, and how difficult the league can be, and how physically demanding the league is. Like I said, we're talking 4 or 5 years before you start to show decline, and Man City would probably start looking towards alternative players. So how much money would you be spending on a striker? I just feel like with next summer, Erling Haaland being available for £70 million, that with the price of the agent fees and the wages and everything, you got to weigh up and say which one would be a better deal, because Erling Haaland, you could probably get an extra 8 years out of him due to his age, and so there's always going to be that sell-on value there, whereas Harry Kane isn't. It's a really difficult transfer, this one, so I found it interesting. I would like to know your thoughts, though, in the comments below. Will Manchester City make a move for Harry Kane in January or even next summer? Is the initial report saying that City won't make a move just a negotiation tactic by City to try and force Spurs into selling, and will we come back? That remains to be seen. Interestingly, first reports we're getting is saying that City could well do that, so I'd love to know your thoughts in the comments below. So there we go, that has been the video. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy this video, leave a thumbs up so I know that you enjoyed this video. Aiming for 300 likes. If you could hit that, that would be sensational. Also, don't forget to leave your thoughts in the comments below, what you made of these transfers. Harry Kane situation, what are your thoughts? Should City make a move again, or has that ship now sailed? Let me know in the comments below. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you are new around here. Press that red button, press the bell, and put your push notifications on. Plenty more Manchester City content to come. Social media links, they're in the description below and sliding across at the bottom of the screen if you want to go and follow me on my Twitter and Instagram. My email also in the description below too if you want to hit me up for any sponsorships for any videos or any general business inquiries. And lastly, do go and check out today's video sponsor, OneFootball, link at the top of my description. Pressing that link will take you to the download page to download OneFootball. It's a free app to download. It'll keep you up to date with all the latest transfer news, football news, latest scores, statistics, live league tables, what channel you can view the games on, and all them good footballing needs that you do have. So do go and check out OneFootball through the link at the top of my description. Downloading the OneFootball app through that link does help to support the future content created here on my channel. So any help towards that would be much appreciated, and a big shout out and thank you to OneFootball for sponsoring this video. And I'll see you all again very soon for the next Manchester City video. So I've been JSGC. Thank you everyone for watching. I hope everyone is safe and well. I hope everyone has also had a fantastic weekend as we head into another week. We've still got the international break, but by the end of the week, we'll be able to speak about Manchester City once more as we head into our game against Leicester City away in the Premier League. So I'll see you all for the upcoming things to come. So I've been JSGC. Peace. Ciao for now.